Hey everyone, Darren here. Welcome to another Denzity Insights episode. We want to give you an introductory video to learn more about the South Korea real estate market and where the potential opportunities are. Today's guest is Wong from Fonto Real Estate Limited. He focuses on market research, reposition the firm's projects, and explore new opportunity around the world. We will cover topics such as where overseas investors tend to invest, which areas are up and coming, and which areas are overrated. After watching the show, please make sure to let us know what you think of the episode in the comment section. Enjoy. Hey Leo, thanks for coming in.
Hey, hi Darren. Thank you for inviting me.
Would you mind telling the audience about yourself?
My name is Wong, and I represent Fonto Real Estate. We are a firm of mostly development projects in many different places around the world, and currently we are most concentrated in the San Francisco Bay Area in the United States and also in South Korea. We already have quite some completed projects in those cities, and we are looking for expanding anytime soon. Just probably waiting for the economic situation to improve a bit, and then we'll get ready and then push out our products.
I see. Yeah, because it's interesting because like when I talk to your team, and then I really feel that it's good that you guys cover different regions, and today we focus on South Korea because a lot of people always ask me about, hey, I want to invest in different places in Asia, and myself, I'm not very familiar with South Korea, so it's good to have someone like you to tell the audience and myself more about it. So like you mentioned a lot of different areas, a lot of different things. Do you think some of those areas are overrated for foreign investors?
I think from our perspective, we look at some of the really important factors of whether the demand or the supply of an area are determined. And let me try to start from the beginning. To give the short answer first is that I think currently Jeju Islands is quite overrated, but Seoul in general is not. And let me explain. The most important determining factor of the real estate prices, at least in South Korea, is the availability of jobs. And for example, in South Chungcheong province, Cheonan, their house prices has been on the rise in the past decades because it is where the SK Hynix plants were built. So on the other hand, in the same province, in very similar locality, Gongju and Buyeo, they are very famous for cultural heritages. So, for example, they have much more tourists to go, but they have much less jobs. So, in our understanding, the property prices has risen much less. Okay, so we believe this fact that the availability of jobs in the region is probably the most important determining factor for the real estate prices. So if there are more jobs, except of course jobs related to tourism, then there would be more people and more demands, and so the housing prices would rise. And in this perspective, Seoul has overwhelmingly more jobs than in any other areas in South Korea. And within Seoul itself, the GBD, the Gangnam district, has about 1.5 million white-collar jobs. And the combined population in Busan and Daegu, the two major metropolitan cities in South Korea, is 5 million. So from this, we see that Seoul's real estate price, especially in Gangnam, is bound to keep rising. Even if the government has introduced a series of regulations in the past few years, try to inhibit Gangnam's housing price rise, it is inevitable that the region's real estate prices will keep rising. So we think that Seoul's real estate price is not overrated, and it's the right decision to invest in this city, and especially this Gangnam region. And it has a strong fundamental support. And in contrast, Jeju Island is very heavily reliant on tourist industry and also Chinese capitals. And as we see in the recent months, the unstable relationship between the Chinese government and South Korean government, and also COVID-19, the tourists from China and also Chinese capital have been decreasing in the past few years. So Jeju Island also does not have a lot of white-collar jobs or industrial jobs that could attract people to relocate to Jeju. So the real estate prices in Jeju Island has decreased in the past few years. And for this reason and the same reasoning, we think that investing in Jeju Island right now is not a good option. And also, where in Seoul should investor explore other than the three city centers? We suggest to look at a information called the 2030 Seoul Plan, and that is the urban master plan that Seoul Metropolitan Government announced in 2017. Okay, so from that plan, we can see that the government selected 3 city centers and also 7 sub-centers. And while the city centers already have a lot of jobs, we assume that in the 7 sub-centers and regional centers, there are like where jobs are and residents will increase in the coming decades. So whether it's a flat or small stake of a property, we believe that it's profitable to invest in those areas, or at least the areas that have easy transportation connections with those areas. So we should pay attention to those places where jobs are about to increase. And we believe that if there are jobs, then there will be people and there will be demand for real estate.
I see. But how you suggest differently for investors that are either planning to self-use or investment only?
Now, as just mentioned before, like the real estate market is rising in general, especially in the hot areas that we just mentioned. The current South Korean government is strongly against individuals owning more than one residential unit. So they have introduced 18 new regulations since 2018. The same applies to non-South Korean nationals purchasing residential real estate in Korea. So we strongly recommend not to buy more than one property, or otherwise one will be subject to very high tax.
I see. When it comes to tax, right? What kind of tax and how much would an overseas investor be taxed at?
As of now, the overseas investors are subject to the same taxation as South Korean locals when it comes to owning properties. In other words, currently there is no taxation that specifically bars foreigners from investing in South Korean real estate. There are four major tax or levies to the government. The first one is stamp duties, okay, and it could be up to USD $320 depending on the value of the property, and the stamp duty is comparably low compared to other countries. Okay, but there is also another thing called the acquisition tax. It ranges from 1 to 4% depending on the value of the property. Okay, and also like its location. And there's the third tax, which is called the withholding tax. It ranges between 6 to 40% depending on the property value. This withholding tax is very similar to a property tax in other jurisdictions that you have to pay periodically as long as you hold the property. And finally, there's the capital gain tax. This capital gain tax is, again, the nature is well known to most investors. Basically, it looks at the capital gain. That means the increase or appreciation in value between the time the value you purchase the property and the value you sell the property, and that would be the difference would be the basis of the taxation.
See, how did the COVID-19 impact the market, and what are the opportunities that investors should look at right now?
Due to COVID-19, as mentioned before, e-commerce is in more demand than ever. So there's now more robust demand for logistics spaces, especially those with low temperatures to store vegetables. Another potential opportunity lies in smaller size offices. Due to COVID-19, some large-scale companies reclassify their employees into smaller groups based on their residence and ask them to work at different offices for the time being. And likewise, it is deemed that COVID-19 may be a stimulus for the decentralizing work scheme in the near future.
I see. Like, I think everything you said so far is so informative that even in my head, the picture is very clear on the opportunity is. What is beyond that, obviously, what are some tips and advice we suggest to the audience? And is there anything they should be aware when it comes to investing in the Korea real estate market?
I think we briefly talk about this. If one is to invest in residential property, then one should consider just investing in one property rather than multiple properties, because currently the government is levying high taxation upon those who own more than one property. And also in Korea, the demand for hotel depends a lot on the number of Chinese tourists. This means that if the relationship between the People's Republic of China and South Korea becomes like more unstable, then the hospitality industry will be getting a large impact, like amid the after the COVID-19 recovery. And of course, like unless we see that the South Korean tourist market, the composition changes to absorbing like much more tourists from countries other than PRC. Otherwise, then this is still a risk to hospitality investors.
I see. You know, I have one more question, because it's something that my friend actually asked me to ask you, is that are there any hip places that attract a lot younger crowd and that are willing to pay more rent? In addition, what are a few places that a lot of more commercial activities, obviously in Seoul, that are working and that is worth to look into?
In Seoul, you can classify the cities into different kind of districts, namely the financial, wealth districts, hipster districts, tourist, education, and residential. And two of the really popular so-called hip places are Hongdae and Itaewon since like early 2000s. But in the past decades, that means from about 2010 to recently, it has been undergoing refurbishment, gentrification. So a lot of artists, cafe and small-sized restaurants have moved out. Also in the past decades, Yeonnam-dong and Seongsu-dong has gained a lot of popularity among young people, and they are quickly rising as hit places. Yeonnam-dong is located near Hongdae. The area has been a middle-class residential district since the 70s. But instead of the high-rise apartments, the area was mostly made up of about 3 stories houses. Since the opening of Wong, the forest park nearby in 2016, the area went through a lot of commercialization, and several houses in Yeonnam-dong changed their usage in the past decades and became cafes and restaurants. Also, Seongsu-dong is located opposite to the GBD, the Gangnam Business District, across the Han River. So there's a subway line, and it takes around 20 minutes from Seongsu-dong to GBD. The area in Seongsu-dong used to be heavily industrial, with a lot of small factories and workshops. But the artists and cafe owners from Hongdae start to move into this area, and they renovate the old factory sites and turn them into from what's rusty, rusty interior designed cafes and restaurants, and it contributes a lot to changing the overall atmosphere of these districts.
That's good. I mean, next time that I'll ask you which cafe to go then next time. No, it's very informative. Thank you so much, because like I think that even for me is that like obviously you supply some like photos and maps and everything to me. I'll put everything in show notes, and even during this video, we can do side by side with different stuff that people can see tracing. Oh, okay, what it looks like and what city is there. So for the people who are interested to talk to you more about South Korea real estate, how would they can reach out to you, and how do they talk to you further?
I will leave my email address to you, and that would be able to access me directly. And that would be primarily the way we conduct communication with between our staff and our potential customers.
I get it. Okay, I'll obviously put everything in show notes, and I'll also say thank you so much for a very informative interview. And then hopefully next time you come in, you can tell us more about San Francisco, what's going on over there.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a good one, Dan.
You too.
Hey, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. What do you think of this episode? Please let us know in the comment below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with us for upcoming videos. But before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Patina Design Lab. They're the one who help us in making our brand, our direction, as well as these videos. They are a strategic design consultancy firm to help businesses with a wide range of design services, from industrial design, branding, graphic design, art direction, content creation, and many more. They are a very talented bunch, and I urge you to check out their website for their work. That's all for today, and see you next time. Cheers.